Hey guys, how you doing? Alright, finally, part 2. I couldn't get the paper to go through my printer for some odd reason, so I ended up having to trace this by hand, which is kind of weird because I've run it through my printer lots of times before. I don't know why this particular piece didn't want to go through. But anyway, the cutting process. If you guys have your stencils all printed out, ready to go on whatever paper you decided on, really the only decision left that you have to make is how are you going to cut it. There are several different ways. Different artists argue over which way is the best. It's really kind of just a personal preference. I've had people ask me before, do you have to use an X-Acto knife or whatever, and the answer is no. I mean, anything that cuts you can use. I really wouldn't use like scissors or something like that because you have to get into these tight little corners and you can't really do that with scissors. I use an X-Acto knife. This was like less than $10. It usually comes with these little like replacement blade guys. Other artists like I know Gary Reef, Eric, Pagan Art Guy, they sometimes use like it's kind of like a soldering iron. It gets real hot, only the point on it is sharper, and it works really well if you're cutting out of like plastic or something like that because it melts and cuts at the same time. That works really well. I don't use plastic as much. When I do, you can also just take a candle and heat up this X-Acto knife, and that works really well too, except you have to keep heating it and it destroys the blades pretty quick, but the replacement blades are pretty cheap. You should probably cut on a mat or something like this. It makes it easier to cut through and you don't damage whatever surface you're working on. You don't have to, but it's a good idea. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut this real quick.
This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with us. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with us.
There you go, step by step on how I make my stencils. If you guys have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. Peace, guys.